Okay, Liverpool played Man City on Sunday. Obviously, a devastating defeat for us. Here to pick the bones out of that game and to chat about the future, where we go from here. I'm joined by Sir Kenny and Paul Dalglish. Welcome, guys. Just go straight into it. The team lineup, we've got a really strong team. Fabinho, Henderson playing at centre half. He's chosen none of the new signings. Kenny, what was your thoughts when you saw the team lineup?
Yeah, but it was the strongest team in Jurgen's mind you could put out on the pitch. But for me, you're taking away the basics of the midfield. You're taking away Jordan, you're taking away Fabinho. There's no other thing you can do. You've got to do it. So, and also because of the run of the injuries that has been, there's guys that are playing, like Millie started 3 games in a row there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 35 years of age. It's a big ask. You know, I know he came off at West Ham when Curtis went in the run and gave it to Mo and he slotted it in because he was laughing with Jurgen on the side of the pitch. But I think that the number of games, I think, just seem to be catching up on them because the players that have been available are unavailable through injury have forced Jurgen to probably play some players more often than he would. And I think that 1 or 2 of them just maybe run out of legs. Mm-hmm. And when you're in the run that we're in at the moment, everything you do is wrong. Everything. And then you start to doubt yourself. Alisson, 2 poor kickouts and we lose 2 goals. Alisson's been magnificent for us. He's been as much a contribution to the successes last year as Virgil for me. Because he's got a real presence. And you're stuck with him one-on-one, and it's, by the way, he's an intimidating figure. You look at it and you find it hard to beat him. So it's just, everything just seems to be going wrong. It just, the players maybe just spend that extra second, they go through, they want to make a pass or should I shoot, and they have the doubt in their mind, whereas last year they were just going bang. And last year they seemed to be getting an awful lot more efforts on goal, as well as scoring a lot more. This year they don't seem to have as many. I mean, I think against Man City there wasn't that many efforts at all. I think Mane had a chance just after half time. But for me, the City game started off like the game at Etihad. It was brilliant. The quality of the passing, and the goalkeepers weren't tested, but the quality of the passing and everything was brilliant. The speed of play for both teams was brilliant. And we just ended up on the wrong side of a heavy defeat.
Paul, just going back to the signings, from being a manager yourself, there's a temptation to throw them straight in, but in reality, is that actually even possible if they've only trained for 4 days before the game?
It depends. Every situation's different. Obviously, you want to try and have players as ready as possible to go into a game, but being available is sometimes more important than being ready. And every situation is unique. Obviously, Jurgen's looked at it, weighed it up, gone for the amount of training that Kabak and Davies have done. It's better to go with the 2 midfielders at centre back. And to be fair, I pick up on what my dad said earlier about you lose out in midfield on that little bit of presence in there. They're 2 of the players that have got a little bit of presence in there, a little bit more defensive tendencies, you feel like. So although they did all right at centre-back, you do miss that type of player in midfield because you've got, Thiago in there who's, to be fair to Thiago, he surprised me defensively, how much he's competed and even the amount of times he's won things in the air. And I wasn't expecting that. But Wijnaldum and Curtis Jones, they're more that kind of connector type midfielder rather than the destroyer type. So you do miss them there. But obviously, I don't think Davis was brought in at any stage to play games. That was pure. I think they just saw the guy. There's a guy there whose contract's running out in 6 months' time. was a bit of interest in him from other places. It was a good deal. They probably can sell him on in 6-12 months when everybody's fit and make a profit. So that I think that was more, this is quite a good deal. Whereas the Kabak one, I expect to see him play. I think that maybe next time, if he's ready, if he's trained well, I think he'll be in the team next time.
Kenny, just to pick something up that you said before, don't know whether I want to disagree with you, but in the first half, I thought our passing was quite slow, and that was one of the problems that we had.
I think we started quickly.
Yeah.
It might have got slower as the game went on. But for me, it started quickly, and it was the same at the Etihad. Both teams were firing it into each other.
Yeah.
Moving. Their formation was a bit different, I think. On Sunday to where it was at the Etihad. But I don't think Thiago, I think he's a brilliant player. He looks a player. When he's got it, I mean, he'll be like a can opener or a tin opener. He'll be able to pass things through between people that maybe you don't expect. And we've got to get used to playing with him. The same as he's got to get used to playing with us.
Yeah.
And as of yet, because of everybody else is having to move about, I don't think we've seen him in the position that he'll be best in. And that's just sitting in front of the two centre-backs and knocking passes all over the place. He came in, his first game was against Chelsea, came on as a sub, laboured down to 10 men, and he just controlled the game.
Yeah.
I think one misplaced pass. So, you know what he is. But as Paul said, I'm pleasantly surprised with he's clocked up a few bookings, which means he doesn't mind a challenge, but also means he's got to time it a wee bit better, or he'll be getting a wee holiday during the season.
Yeah.
But I think he's half decent. And you can't weaken. That's two parts of your team right through the middle that's weakened. The two strong midfield players have gone into the two centre backs positions. As good as he might play and as genuine as they are, that's not their natural position. And for two of them to play there at the same time, it's a big ask, especially against a team of the quality of Man City.
Do you know, Dad, what I would say is, and then it's probably going to tie in both of your comments, Gav thinking it was slow. I think our movement was slow. I did think we passed the ball firm. But there was times where when we get it, just the movement off the ball. I think that's the biggest thing I've noticed in the last few weeks. It's that movement off the ball, that dynamic runs in behind. I mean, you see Salah do it all the time still. You see Andy Robbo doing it. But even the likes of Trent, I would say at this moment in time, he's tending to get into a decent area and then forcing a cross when there's not really anybody in there. Or when the target's in there, maybe it's a mismatch. If you think about the Brighton game, when they had three centre-backs and then the guy on the left-hand side, Byrne, who must be 6'7".
Yeah, he's 6'7".
And we're putting crosses in the box. But even Mane, for me, I love Mane. I think he's been amazing, but he's coming short to get on the ball now as well. And I just don't think we have that cutting edge with our movement in the final third. I don't think we're making enough runs in behind. I don't think we've got enough people running away from the ball. A lot of people are coming towards it. And that's what happens when you're a little bit low on confidence. Sometimes because you just want to try and take the easier option. Come and get a touch, come towards the ball, get a touch, get your confidence up. And if there's two or three people doing that, then all of a sudden you can end up with quite sterile play without much penetration. And I've got to put that in brackets really, because I think that teams at this moment in time seem to have settled upon a formula to play against Liverpool, which is allow them to get wide and cross the ball and we'll defend it. That seems to be the game plan. If you look at a lot of the teams, with the exception of Man City, who really came and went toe-to-toe, most teams have been playing very, very, very narrow defensive units to defend deep and defend narrow and allow the outsides of the pitch for us to cross it and then just deal with the crosses. So I think we've got to stay one step ahead of that, and we've got to go, okay, well, maybe it might be an idea to play with, with wingers in one game. Maybe say Salah. Maybe say Salah, look, you go through the middle. We'll play Mane on one side. We'll play someone else on the other side. And we'll try and get some balls into the box. Get round the back of the opposition back four and get cutbacks, slow crosses, get numbers in the box. I don't know. I think that, I don't think Jurgen's too married to a particular formation. I think he's more married to a style of play. And if teams have come up at this moment in time with something that neutralises a little bit, then maybe we need to do a little adaptation to the way we play.
I think before you have adaptation, anything, you need the players, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, where are we? I mean, all credit to Curtis Jones, a young boy coming into a team that's no firing in all cylinders. And by the way, he was as good as anybody we had on the pitch against City. And he looks as if he's going to be decent. He looks as if he's going to have a real good future at Liverpool. But we're no at our best. It's difficult for him to go in, and he did. I thought he did really well.
You made a point earlier, Dad, about Thiago, and I think it's the same with Curtis Jones. Thiago looks like a brilliant player. Curtis Jones looks like a brilliant player, but they're different to a Henderson or a Fabinho. He's much more composed on the ball, isn't he? Like, he holds the ball when he gets it. He's got, his awareness is good, so he always looks where the space is, and then he's always calm. And if you've been playing in a team where you're used to the ball flying round and playing at high intensity, and Liverpool, they've got a big sign at the stadium that says our intensity is our identity. And now you've got Thiago in there and you've got Curtis Jones in there that maybe play with a little bit more composure, hold the ball a little bit more. Maybe that's why the timing of those runs that I spoke about earlier is just that little bit off, because you've got two people in there that play a little bit differently than what we've had in there in the past.
When you're unsure, everything just needs to be a fraction off.
Yeah.
Right? And that's all it is. And it's easy to say, go back to what you were doing last year. It's easy to say it. It's hard to convince them. I mean, everybody knows how well they did last year. Everybody knows they're a lot better than what they have been in recent weeks. Yeah. Right? And everybody knows. I mean, Salah's still top goal scorer.
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah.
He's banged away a few goals.
Yeah.
It's the games we're fighting against the bottom six. It really, that shot us in the foot. And the 7-2 at Villa, I thought Villa did a really good job. He did his homework, Smith, and when you see the way he laid them out, even the last goal that they scored, we had a throw in on their left side, their right side, and really stood away on the left touchline. And as soon as they won it, they went bang and they lashed it away across the other side of the pitch. And he picked it up, ran it, tried to get. They got a goal, didn't they? They get 3 deflections, but I thought they did well. They did well with the free kick that they scored off as well. Mm-hmm. Tipped it on the far post, and they came in. But for us, the boys will be sitting wondering what they have to do, and all they have to do is convince themselves that they are what they are, and they don't need to be arrogant, big-headed, or anything. They just need to be confident, because what they did last year was phenomenal. And by the way,
and the year before,
they've got it well within themselves to turn that on week in, week out. But if there's too many players playing too many games, they find it hard to pick their legs up.
Do you know what's interesting? Perspective is needed. This has been in terms of league consistency for 2 years. This has been the best Liverpool team ever in terms of points tally at the end of the season for 2 years. So perspective's needed. I spoke to Gav yesterday, and I was driving, I talked to him in a car, and I said, you forget it was only a few months ago that Jordan Henderson shuffling in the cup, lifting the trophy that we've wanted for 20 years. You forget that only a few months before that, you've got Jamie Webster singing to thousands of people in the square in Madrid. We go and win the Champions League. You forget these are some of the most iconic moments that you could ever imagine as a Liverpool player. And it was these guys that gave us it, the players, the manager. And so the perspective's needed. It's just, we are going through a bad spell. I mean, I can't remember. I heard something on the TV. The last time we lost 3 games at home, it was, in a row was, it was years, I think, before you were even at Liverpool, Dad. So it's it is that you can't sugarcoat it. It isn't a good time. But as my dad said, it's not a case of reinventing the wheel. What would normally happen in a situation like this, if the players had a little bit of wobble, Liverpool fans would get behind the team. The manager, there'd be a tackle, the manager would turn around, he'd punch the air and get the fans going, and then that gives everybody a boost. It's the problem at this moment in time is the players are going to have to work it out themselves, because they don't have the crowd to lift them in the moment. They don't have the manager. The manager doesn't have the crowd to lift them. Because I've got no doubt in my mind that Liverpool are at the best when the manager's on the sideline and he's playing the crowd, getting the crowd behind the team. The team are then responding to the fans getting behind the team. And when the 3 of them are in sync, Anfield, even away games, their travelling support's been phenomenal for the last few years. When the manager is on form and he's playing with the supporters and they're working together, it makes a massive difference to the team. And I don't think we can underestimate how much we are missing having people in the stadium. And I think that I feel bad for the players as well, because they've never really had the chance for the fans to show them what it meant to them to win the league. Obviously we won the league and there's a few people outside the stadium. But they've never had that full Anfield trophy going around the stadium. They've never had that. They've never had the reward for all the work that they put in. And I think that as fans, we want to show them that as well and show them what they mean to us. And it's just tough. It's just tough. But as I said, they're going to have to wear that out on their own at the moment. And the top players, and I've got no doubt that they will.
It's never been any different.
Mm-hmm.
There's 3 parts to the success: management, players, and the punters, the crowd. And without the crowd, it affects the other 2. Whereas if the players are just slightly off, the fans can lift them up. And certainly they can terrify the opposition. The opposition are coming to Anfield now, and they're a bit more relaxed because they're not getting put under any pressure. There might not be one of their players closing them down, but they know there's 50,000 breathing down their necks. Try to get on the pitch to get it. So, but it's been like that for over a year now. You know that you can't get it. You know you're not comfortable with it. You know you want the punters in. But you've got to get it in your mind. This is just the way of life.
I understand that. I understand that, Dad. I do.
Quickly. And every decision they're making just about now is looking as if it's wrong. Everything they make, every decision they're making is wrong. It's not wrong. It's not wrong. They just got to have the confidence, get it. And does it not seem strange talking about over the past 2 years how good they've been? How European Cup, World Club champions, league champions, the players playing there, loving it, enjoyed the success. When you enjoy something that much, do you not want to go back and get more? You want to go back and get more and have another bite at it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with our application now, the way the determination to be there. I think it's just a combination of injuries, which everybody gets injuries, right? But the injuries meaning the number of games players have got to play. They might not always play their games. And Jurgen's very astute with saying, well, we'll take him off, or we'll rest him in this, or put him sub and he can come on. When you're winning, every substitution you make is brilliant. Everything goes well. When you're just looking for a bit of luck, nothing goes right. You even put your shoes on the wrong feet. It's just a fact of life that you go through. But the answer And the easiest way to solve the problems is to look in the mirror, look behind you, what's in the mirror. You've got all your trophies, all your success. You've not been carried away with that in any way, shape or form. That's how good you are. Go out and try and repeat it.
Well, I agree. But what you know, listen, I think it's important that we understand that it's totally understandable. You know, the inconsistency is completely understandable in the most bizarre year that any of us have been on the planet for. It's bizarre, like just a bizarre year. So it's understandable. What, you know, all we're trying to do here is break down what we think the reasons are. But there's for me, I agree with my dad that the answer, the players have never got carried away with it. And I think that's the key to it. I don't think that the players have ever judged themselves on the trophies. I think they've judged themselves on the process. I mean, even when we didn't win the league and we came second to City by a point or whatever, they continued on the process of getting better and playing that way. Even when we lost in the Champions League, they continued on that process. I don't expect any changes, dramatic changes. I could say a couple of tweaks just to give players a little bit of something new, a little bit of something fresh to get excited about, you know, but nothing too drastic. But just want to go on with that about the fans, and it's been going on for a year. I think if you mix the style of play that Liverpool have, and then you look at the style of play that Man City have. Now, Man City play a much more calm type of football, much more control, much more composed, you know, much more possession based. And I think that that type of football would be less affected without fans. Whereas Liverpool's style of play, high intensity, pressing, dynamic runs in behind, fueled by the fans, fueled by the manager, I think that's much more affected by not having fans in the stadium. And I also think that if you look back, even after we won the league last year, we kind of stumbled. You know, we've seen one or two games this season where we've looked really good, but I think truthfully, and I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just trying to point something out that I think's affected us. And I think that Liverpool, the team, and the manager have been hugely affected by no fans in the stadium. And I think it's disproportionate to other teams because of the importance that they play on the way that Liverpool play and the tempo they play in.
Kenny, let me ask you something. Paul and I spoke yesterday.
A minute, Gav. Man City, 53 points.
Yeah.
Right? 16 games to go. For them to match the figures for the last 2 years, or certainly to match the figure when they won it, they need to win the next 16 games, don't they? 53, 3 sixes. What's 3 sixes? 18? 48. So they'd be got up to over 100. Well, Man City had a wobble at the start of the season as well.
Yeah.
They never came back as strong as what they left. And people were writing them off a wee bit. And I think that they've won the last 11 games or something. They've won a troop of points recently. And it swings and roundabouts. And although it's great when there's that high quality in the Premier League, but it's even greater and more enjoyable when you're the one that's the best one. And right at this moment in time, we're not the best, but we've proved we can be the best. And there's no reason for us to think or doubt anything other than that. And it might need a change here or there. The players have moved on 2 years, maybe. And we need to strengthen up in one or two areas, spend a few quid in one or two areas, and try and get the ball rolling again. And it would be a fail if the punters were in for us, because I think it would help the players, it would lift the players, and it would help them. It would help them at this moment in time. Any little bit that they can do to help would be grateful. But as I say, you've got to do as much as you can possibly do as an individual yourself. He lifted.
Yep.
Nobody get on the pitch thinking the worst. Go on the pitch believing it's going to be better.
If you're enjoying this video so far, please show your support for the Kenn7 channel by subscribing, clicking the like button, and also clicking the notifications button as well to get future broadcasts. If you could also share the video on your Twitter and Facebook account, that will show YouTube's algorithm that you like our content. Have you heard about Kenn7 merchandise? The link is in the description of this video. We have premium fanwear for fans covering Liverpool, Celtic and Scotland, and it's fanwear for young and old, so we have t-shirts, hoodies, sweatshirts, caps, mugs, you name it, we've got it. Just something else to remember, every purchase that is made on our website, we donate to the Marina Dalglish appeal, so you're helping a great cause as well. Kenny, just what I was going to say before was Paul and I were chatting yesterday, and we were chatting during the game, weren't we, mate? And it looks to us like the players aren't enjoying playing at the moment. And obviously when you get beat, you don't enjoy it, but they don't have that joy, that vigour that they used to have for playing and the aggression. I'm just wondering, as a manager, how do you try and get that back? How do you try? I mean, obviously, if you say, well, when you start winning, you'll enjoy it again. But how do you try and get that back day to day? You're in Kirby, you're training them. You know, what do you do?
Well, they themselves have got to overcome the negativity in their head. All you can do as a manager is point them in the right direction and say, encourage them, go through what they've done before, repeat what you've done before. You've played against most of these teams previously. You know how to play them. You know what each individual you're up against is. You know what Man City, you know their principles, their beliefs. It's not just down to the manager going and doing his homework and setting the team out to play. Yeah, the team he set out was a good enough team to go on there. And it was set up in a good enough way to cope with Man City. And they did for a long time. But the players, it comes back to the players themselves as individuals who want to look forward to getting out there. But you need to look forward to getting out. And when I would have thought, although the punters, we said earlier, that the supporters at the ground help Liverpool and put a bit of fear into the opposition. Also, it might be helpful that at this moment in time when it's not going so well, that there's no punters there.
Yeah.
Because they might be going on there with a negative thought in their mind. Oh no, I don't know if they'll be happy. I'll tell you one thing is guaranteed, and they should know this because they've experienced it, how supportive they actually are. And seeing your hour of need, that's when they become even stronger. So you give them something to shout at or shout for. And when they start coming back in, they'll remember that. But as I say, I don't think anybody's trying sweep any problems that they've identified with the performances under the carpet and say, well, yeah, it'll come back. It won't come back. It will come back if you work and you believe that it's going to come back. It won't just come back itself. You never just won the league because you wanted to win it. You won the league because you were the best and you played brilliantly. And that's what you've got to do to get out of it as well.
Paul, I was going to ask you both. It's an old football cliche where a team is having a bad run, and then you see in the press, well, the captain called a team meeting of just the players and they had a private chat, very frank and honest chat, and then you see the results improve. I'm sure it's not as simple as that, but Paul, in your experience, and then Kenny afterwards, have you ever been involved in that sort of thing, or have you encouraged it as a manager?
Well, that's what I was going to ask my dad about, Gav. So this has happened before at Liverpool when my dad was at Liverpool. So I wanted to try and pick your brains, Dad. So Liverpool won the league in 79-80, finished first, right? Won the league. They won the league in 81-82 as well. But in 80-81, they finished fifth. But they still won the Champions League. So for me, what we're looking at now has happened before to arguably the greatest team. If you look at the success of Liverpool over those 19, 20 years, that was the only time that Liverpool finished outside the top two. Was that year they finished 5th. So Liverpool have won the league and finished 5th before, back in where you know, the iconic teams of when my dad played. And what I'd love to know, Dad, is how, you know, what were the discussions between players, and then what were the discussions between, you know, how did you deal with that psychologically as a team that were used to winning or finishing 1st or 2nd every year? Now all of a sudden, one season you finish 5th.
See, the year after we finished 5th, at Christmas, the guy was on, spoke to me during the week. He said they do an electronic programme, right, for Man City and Liverpool. He said, could you do a piece, see if you remember the game? I think it must have been 81, December 81 or something. We get beat 3-1 with City. I said, well, that's why you want to talk about it. I said, we get beat 3-1 at Anfield in December, and we were 13th or 14th in the league. And
In the following season, after you finished 5th?
We won the league. The year after we finished 5th, and at Christmas we were 13th or 14th or something.
But when you look back now, why what do you think happened? Because obviously there was no COVID, there was just great players, great managers, coaching staff, and the team just wasn't performing at the level. Was it unlucky? Was there things going on?
Well, I can't remember. I just remember because the guy asked me to do an interview. I remember the game at Anfield when they beat us City, because I think it was the last time they'd won at Anfield. But I mean, they couldn't have been too bad if they won the European Cup. Could they?
It's basic, yeah.
No, that's it. But I'm just interested about, you know, like it would have been Bob Paisley in charge then, right?
Who?
It would have been Bob Paisley in charge.
Yeah, it was that.
So, like, did he stay consistent? Can you remember?
Paul, they were always consistent, right? Yeah. They were always consistent. The staff would go away and they would look at what they were doing, if they changed anything. If they used to have you've heard of the A4 scrapbook, right? The writing pad. They detailed the training every day. When we trained, who trained, how long we trained for, what we did in that training session, any injuries, and they went through everything. And if they got a couple of injuries, 2 or 3 injuries that were repetitive, right, they would change the trainer because they thought they were doing something wrong. So they went away and they looked at themselves. And if they looked at themselves, then as a player, you shouldn't be pointing all the blame towards them. That's the whole lot. You'll only be successful if everybody's in the same hymn sheet. So everybody look at themselves, say, am I doing things properly? Am I doing things the way I was doing it before? If I get the same drive, the same desire to go out and play because I've got the ability, what do we do? If you all go in together, you've got a great chance. But you're not got a great. If you start pointing fingers and blaming things and saying, or taking the easy way out, just saying, oh, we were unlucky. Yeah, you're unlucky. But by the way, you've got to overcome that. You forget all the times when you're lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't dismiss your success if you were lucky, do you? So you've got to, you can't overthink the defeats if you're unlucky.
No. And if you're successful, you don't think of the mistakes, do you? And in a game, if you won, there's a lot of times successful. There's a lot of times you did one.
Yeah, it's outcome bias. So basically, you analyse the outcome, not so much what actually happened.
Well, you can look at games, Paul, and say, how did we win that? But you're going to walk away with 3 points.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But you don't think about it too much, do you? You don't even want to analyse it. You just want to walk away and go, okay, we got lucky there. Let's
everything you've done now
move on.
Good. Everything you've done has been correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's a difference between if it was a superstition or whether it was just a ritual, a way of preparing for the game. and it started in the house for me. Shaving, right? And if you started that side and you get beat, you went, oh, I should have started that side. And then you jump in the car and you're driving to the ground and you go, well, I went this way the last time, and it's habit. I don't think it doesn't help. It helps you mentally. It helps you to get out onto the pitch if you're comfortable. And obviously, if you saw a magpie or something, you're looking for another one, and then you want to see Jeez.
No shoes on the table. That was one of your big ones. No shoes on the table.
I need boots. And then,
but let me ask you a question. Say you got a new pair of boots and someone put them on the table. Would you have worn them in a game?
No.
You'd have just got rid of them. You'd have given them to someone.
I wouldn't have. No, that day I wouldn't have worn them. No.
It's brilliant. But footballers are always like that. Did you have any weird things like that, Paul?
No matter what I did, I was shit. So I just gave up on superstitions. No, I didn't. No, not really. I mean, I know some people are superstitious, but I was like, I wasn't really. There were certain things I didn't really have any. You know, I'd like if I had a thing maybe. You know, I thought I had boots. You know, you might think, oh, I like this pair of boots. You know, because you scored a few goals in them or played well in them, and you might think, oh, I like these boots, and you didn't want to change them, even if maybe they were on the last legs. You just wanted to keep, you know, but not really any superstitions like him. Like he would if so. Here's the thing, right? What about in the FA Cup? Well, if you won a round on the drive home, you had to go a certain way.
Yeah, and we stay in a certain hotel. But what about you? You saying you never the superstition? What about you and Stephen Evans? With Brownie, you went to Carlisle for the third round of the FA Cup, and you went a wee bit lunch before you went to the game.
Right.
That was your routine for every round after that.
Well, we never went to Carlisle when we went to South.
What?
We never went to Carlisle for lunch when we played other teams.
No. You went for a lunch before the game, wherever we were playing.
Yeah, we went to the game together. Brownie was our chaperone. He was our driver.
Aye.
Me and Steve. We went wherever Brownie told us.
It was a way for Brownie to get a ticket.
That's brilliant.
The late Michael Robinson, he wrote a book in Spain. He went to Osasuna. He became a number one in the radio shows over there for the football.
Top pundit.
He wrote a piece, and it was about the Liverpool dressing room and how, I think he used the word superstitious they were, and saying that you had to go into the toilet in a certain number. So there was somebody first in, and then second, and he went, no, you can't go there, I'm next.
But my dad told me a story that Loro had told him that Michael Robinson used to have a dossier on all the referees, and he'd know the names, the name of the kids, the wife name, all that, and he'd go on the pitch and go, I Jeff, you all right? How's Maureen? All right, yeah. I think how old's Thingy now? And that was his way of like trying to influence the ref. Does that make any sense to you at all? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that, no.
He didn't even know my dad's name.
It's clever though. Well, I'm guessing we've left the game because we don't really want to talk about the game, really, I suppose. But we've touched on a few positives. Looking forward into the next few games. Next game, Leicester, obviously a big game. What are the positives? Are you looking forward to seeing one of these two new lads we've got at the back? We've got Jota possibly coming back. I mean, how do you feel going into this next run of games?
I think Jota's a name that a lot of people have forgotten about. When he was up in fire, by the way, he made a huge contribution, and he played against Midtjylland and drew 1-1, I think, and he got injured, and he's not been seen since. but he could come on and pick up the pace of the game and make a contribution by either scoring or setting somebody up. And you miss that. You miss that. When you go through the spell that we're going through at the moment, usually the best players are the ones that are injured. That's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
But they're not really the best players. But that's what people say, because you're not there. You've not made a mistake.
Yeah.
The Leicester game is a big game because we're in a dogfight for Champions League spot. And when you play against people that have the same ilk as yourself, it's looking for that Champions League spot, then you do yourself a favour if you can take points off them.
They've been half decent as well, haven't they? They look half decent, to be fair. I mean, I don't know, is Vardy back, Gav?
He came back midweek.
Did he?
But he might play in the FA Cup as well. They've got an FA Cup during the week. But also for us, that was a great performance there last year.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't we? That was one of our better performances. So if we can repeat that, we'll be quite happy, but it's going to be difficult.
Well, I think we'll leave it there, boys. But thanks.
Oh, why are you bored? Bored of us, Gav?
Only you, mate. Would you take? You mentioned the 81 season there, where we finished fifth and won the Champions League. Would you take that this season?
Do you know what, Gav? Do you know what I would say? I think it's more important to just knowing the finances of the club, and in a COVID year, I think it's really important that we get in the top four.
Yeah,
for the Champions League money.
Yeah, but if you win the Champions League,
if you won it, then you get in it the next year. Yeah, I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
if you win it, you get in it next year.
Yeah,
yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
That's how we got in it after we won it in 05.
They changed the rule then in 05.
Because you can't have 5 teams from the...
Yeah, you knock someone else out, don't you? So whoever finishes fourth ends up going in the UEFA Cup.
That would seem logical, that if you win it, you're back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd listen. If I think the most important thing for the finances of the football club is to finish to be in the Champions League next year, and whichever way we can do that, through the Champions League, through the league, doesn't really matter.
Ken, you agree?
Well, I think it is important, and I think to be fair, Fenway Sports Group's always been supportive, and most of the time anyway, when going to buy players, they've spent money. There's loads of money on players. Even when Coutinho went, they just went, on you go. Alisson and Van Dijk came in, all that money. So they have been quite generous with their finances, and you would think that's going to continue. I think we move onwards and upwards, and it never does. We only got where we are because we've got a top class manager, because the players were top class, but because we were able to buy players. So you still need to buy, and maybe sometimes I thought Jota was a good buy in the summer, but maybe that was the time. It's like everything. Everybody goes back in hindsight and say, well, maybe that was the time we should have went out and bought a centre back or whatever. But you've got what you've got. But certainly if you're in the Champions League, it gives you a better budget to go and buy players, and it's a more attractive option for a play.
And that's the other thing, you're keeping your players that you've got as well. You know, you hear a lot of players saying, I want to play in the Champions League, especially the international players that come in. They you know, the Champions League to European players is bigger than the Premier League. So playing in the Champions League is huge for not just being able to attract players, the finances, but also keeping your best players.
Well, imagine how Thiago feels. They'll be finally the World Club Championship, aren't they? Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I think he's going to be brilliant, Dad. I think he just needs He just needs, even if you look at some of the other players that have come into Liverpool, a lot of them have taken a little bit of time to settle, but I think that I think he's absolutely brilliant. I love watching him play. And I think you made a big thing. I never really thought about it, Dad, about the other players need to get used to his level as well, because he is a true world-class player, Thiago. And the other players need to understand. The pass he played, who was it against? Where he came in from the left-hand side and he played the ball through for Origi. And Origi got a touch. It was away from home. Recent game. Do you remember he came in from the left-hand side and he played the ball into the box? And Origi just got there with the toe.
West Ham.
I mean, I don't know how he saw that.
No. Paul, you would think he's got a turn in his eye. Because he's looking that way. He's looking straight ahead and it goes left.
Yeah.
It goes left. And I'm saying the players will get used to him, but sometimes when he does it, if you're the player that's here, you maybe get a surprise. But it's real quality. It's real quality of his passing and
because that was the one thing.
I would love us to have the people back that they need back, put them in a team, pick a team, put him in his best position.
Yeah.
Right? And then
say there's the keys to the kingdom.
Let's play for there.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, it was, Dad, and I know you were more the Thiago that would play those passes rather than make the runs in the high. Well, I was the opposite. I was somebody like that. I lived on making runs in behind. That was it. And then the better players I played with, the easier the game was for me because I just ran and I could time my runs quite well. And I remember I came over to play. I was meant to sign for a team over here, DC United, and there was a Bolivian player called Marco Echeverri. And he was absolutely unbelievable, right? I mean, unbelievable. Like South American, number 10 playmaker, left-footed. And I played the game with him, and I remember he wasn't looking at me, and he played the ball into the space, and I never ran because he wasn't looking at me. I didn't run. So I was going back, and he said, hey, look, even if I don't look at you, I see you. He said, so just run. He said, just run, and I promise you I'll find you. Next thing, I was just taken off. And it was like, I can't believe he's got that through. I mean, he was absolutely incredible. And I think that's what Thiago's got. Thiago's got that ability that if you run, he'll find you. He doesn't even need to look at you. And he's like an absolute dream for a Mo Salah or a Mane or a Jota who make those runs in behind because he might be one of the best passers in world football.
So have we stopped making those runs?
I think the opposition have dropped off and defended the box really, really well. And there isn't actually that space in behind as much.
But have we not seen that before?
What we're not doing at this moment in time, in my opinion, is that we're not putting the right service into the box. So we're putting high crosses into the box. And we've got Salah, sometimes Origi, Firmino, and then Mane is brilliant in the air, but he's not in there that as much as he was. Right. I mean, Mane's a real threat on set pieces. When corners come in the box, Mane gets on the end of it more often than not. But I think that we've just got to try and look. If we're going to, don't force a chance. I think when we're at our best, we never force chances. There was patience in the play. There was a goal in recent weeks where we won. I think it was 3-1 or 2. It was Firmino came on, I think, and there was like little combinations and it was flowing, little balls around the corner. And it was a brilliant goal, but it was without thinking. It was just we created the chance and it was little combinations. At this moment in time, I think we're forcing chances just because things aren't going as well as we'd like them to go, rather than actually being patient and creating chances. And I think just that little bit of patience, and actually waiting to get into position to hit the cross and then hitting the right type of cross for the player profiles we've got will make a huge difference.
But Paul, you've got to move in the box. You've got to be prepared to get in the box. And at this moment in time, they're a wee bit put your confidence and they go, oh, wait a minute, and then they go start looking for it. And there's no difficult. There's no difficult. get in the box.
Yeah.
Box. If you only get one touch a game and you score, brilliant.
Yeah.
But everybody, they want to get it, run about it. By the way, you've got to get in there. I can't. I've Mane, Salah, top goal scorer.
Yeah.
What's in the box, Salah?
Do you know, talking about moving in the box, there are the coach. I think it was Steve Foley, and he used to talk about moving. He said, "I've never seen a dog piss on a moving lamppost," is what he used to say. And he says, "Look, if you're in the box, don't be a lamp. You've got to be on the move, because then you can't be marked." And it was funny, so it's always stuck in my head. I've never seen a dog piss on a moving lamppost. So that's the movement in the box, right? You've always got to try and find space in the box. And sometimes what my dad used to say, Gav, which it's obviously next level. He would say, people say, "Oh, you've got to move, you've got to move." My dad used to say, "Well, sometimes if everybody's moving and you stand still, then the space finds you." So it's just about, for me, it's just about finding the space. If you have to move to be in the space, great. If everybody else moves and you can stand still, it's all about being in space so you can take that chance.
Well, you don't need to find space sometimes.
Yeah.
A guy moving off you run off, right? And the guy that's with me thinks he's got to go with you. What do I need to move for?
Yeah.
I don't need to move because you've already created it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that when the wee doubt starts coming in.
Well, that's it. Second guess yourself, and then you might be just half a second late with your movement, and then you're either late. You could, if you're not on time in football, you're either too late or too early. You've got to be on time, and that's just that playing without thinking.
Put the defenders under pressure. Make them make a decision. Let them make a decision. If they've got to put a challenge in, put a challenge in. But just remember, you're in the box. It needs to be a good challenge.
Right. Well, listen, I think we'll leave it there because Ken, you look like you're ready for bed.
By the way, Dad,
Who?
Gav was brilliant. Gav was brilliant in the box. The Big Mac box, the Burger King box, the everything.
Kentucky Fried Chicken special offer.
The Kentucky Fried Chicken box. Gav was amazing in the box.
Have you finished?
Yeah.
Right.
No,
Listen, guys.
Hey, ask Gav what he made this weekend. He posted a picture he sent me. Like I was bothered.
Mate, amazing. Absolutely amazing. We were talking about making desserts. That's why I sent you the picture, you dope. It was nice. Millionaire shortcake.
Made millionaire shortbread.
Amazing.
He must be getting paid too much by Kenn7 making millionaire shortbread.
Buy them in Costa.
It was nice. It was nice. Anyway,
well done, Ramsey.
Thanks very much, and we'll see you again next month. Thanks a lot for your time. Cheers.